Hey everybody, welcome once again. Just gonna wait a little bit for some people to hop on. Let me get everything set up. Hello. If you're just jumping on, say hello. Hi Hugo. Deja Du? Is that how I say it? I'm not sure. Mom of 3 girls. Hey. So if you guys are just jumping on, say hello. Give me your name, where you're watching from, and let's make it fun. Give me your favorite food emoji. Do that. Hey. I won't type mine, but my favorite food is sushi. So I'll act like I inserted a sushi emoji. I'm so excited you guys are here with me. I'm so excited for this live reading session today. And if you were here last week, welcome back. And if you're new, welcome. So we'll just give it like another minute or two and then we will get started. Again, if you're jumping on, just say your name, where you're watching from, and put your favorite food emoji. That should be fun. Okay. All right, we will just get started. So if you are new here, welcome to this live reading session. And if you were here last week, welcome back. So moving forward, every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 7 p.m., all through the summer, we will be going live with these reading sessions. And I'm really excited because we're going to have time to just read really cool stories together. It's going to be a good time. Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Well, hello, welcome. I'm so excited. So if you're unaware of what goes on here, we're going to have these live reading sessions, like I said, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. all throughout the summer. And we want you guys to participate. So when you comment, whenever we're reading, go ahead and put your reactions in the comments, your thoughts and some of your takeaways, because just by participating, you guys have a chance to win some really cool prizes. So you are able to win free basketball sessions if you are in the Charlotte area. If you're not in the Charlotte area, guys, don't worry, because you have a chance to win in the end of summer drawing. Now, for the end of summer drawing, 2 students and 2 teachers will win $100 gift cards each for school supplies. So that's really exciting. If you know a Charlotte-based teacher that you would like to nominate for the end of summer drawing, send us their name in a DM to our Instagram or our Facebook, and we'll make sure to have their name entered. Every week that a student participates, their name will get entered into the end of summer giveaway 5 times. So you have a really, really big chance of winning something. We're also going to do a weekly giveaway. So we'll be drawing a name every week, and whatever book that we read, you will receive a free Kindle version of that book. So that's really excited too. So guys, all of these prizes you could win just by participating. So like I said, let's get active in the chat. So we're reading live. Let me know what you think. If you think you're like a character, go ahead and put that there. If you're surprised by the reaction, go ahead and put that there as well. And also, if you miss these lives, don't worry, because you can, on our Instagram and our Facebook, we will have the recordings and the replays, so you'll be able to watch that as well. So without further ado, we're going to get started. Are you guys excited? Give me some hearts if you are excited. I like doing that because I just like to see who's ready to go. Who's ready to go? Okay, so I'm ready. The title of this book. So we're going to be reading this every Tuesday until this is done. So we're going to read 2 chapters of this book today. It's called The Steam Chasers, We Made That. And this is written by Dr. Doresa Jennings. And I'll read a little bit of the synopsis. What seemed an ordinary homework assignment turned into a life-changing adventure for Shar, Terrence, Ebony, Akaya, Marcus, and Chase as they take a scavenger hunt through town, finding the contributions Black Americans have had to our everyday lives in the areas of science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Guys, this is a good one. I'm excited. Let's go. So, the Steam Chasers. We made that. Chapter 1. 2 points if I make it, Chase shouted to Marcus as he was squaring his shoulders and standing with his half-full milk carton in his hand. As usual, he had drawn the attention of most of the students in the cafeteria. Most people began smiling in anticipation of just what Chase might do this time. He and his cousin Marcus were the most famous sixth graders in the school for their ability to almost break the rules in the most exciting of ways. They never did anything that would get them into major trouble, but that didn't mean a bit of minor trouble was out of the question. No way, you're too close. If you want 2 points, you need to back way up. Marcus was pointing to a spot about 4 feet back from where Chase was standing. The cafeteria was loud, as usual. However, when everyone saw Chase lining up for his shot, they stopped talking just a bit to see what he was up to. Terrence got up to approach Chase. Do you really think this is a good idea? Terrence was usually the voice of reason for the two cousins, a voice they had an uncanny ability to ignore. I mean, it might not be the best idea I've had. I think a better one would be to use something like a gallon of milk, but that is a serious waste of food. You know, I'm all about conservation. Chase laughed as he lined up his shot. Come on, Jiminy Cricket, teased Marcus. Let the man live a little. As more eyes in the cafeteria diverted to Chase, Marcus made sure to gesture to them that they were in for a good show. He's going to be living in detention for the rest of his life with you sitting next to him. Shar was walking past the boys to throw away her trash. This school doesn't even have detention, shouted Marcus, sounding triumphant in something Shar didn't know. Ebony chimed in. I think they might be willing to make an exception for you two. She shook her head disapprovingly as she walked past and caught up with Shar, heading back to their table after they dumped their garbage. I hear they already started building a dungeon, you know, to contain the lightning and thunder. Akaya laughed loudly. While she walked with Shar and Ebony, she still managed to get a peek at Chase with what he could tell was an interest in what he would do next. Ha! Shouted Chase, still cautiously lining up his shot. I laugh in the face of those who would try to bind my awesomeness. Now behold, young ones, and watch perfection. With that, he jumped up and released the carton of milk. It went straight up, 8 feet in the air, and then curved to sail toward the garbage can. It looked like he just might make it. Looks like someone should have spent more time studying physics and less time working on his victory speech. You know, until he actually had the victory. Ebony smirked and headed toward the exit. Shar and Akaya walked past as well, both avoiding the now spilled milk in an exaggerated manner. No points. Better luck next time, said Marcus as he turned to walk away. He didn't make it far, as he immediately bumped into Principal Davis, who was holding a mop and a bucket of water. Well, you two, I'll let Mrs. Worthington know you're going to be a little late. He handed the mop to Chase and the bucket to Marcus. Principal Davis was wearing his usual attire of black suit, white shirt, and perfectly polished shoes. At 6 feet and 4 inches tall, he could easily strike fear into the hearts of any kids. He seemed to understand how imposing his dark eyes could be, so he mostly led conversations with a smile and always managed to wear a themed tie. Today's tie was filled with cupcakes topped with pink or brown frosting. Each cupcake was sporting one candle, and each candle had a flame that must have been powered by tiny LED lights because they were blinking. It was kind of hard to be completely afraid of someone who thought it was a good idea to wear flashing birthday candles, even if they stood over a foot taller than you. It shouldn't take that long to clean up. The carton was almost empty. We'll be done in no time, said Chase, who thought an entire pail of soapy water was a bit of overkill for spilled milk. It would seem a couple of paper towels would have worked just fine. Oh, you're not just cleaning up this spot. You two get the pleasure of mopping the entire cafeteria. I let Mr. Phil know that you two would give him a hand in cleaning since you were over-contributing to the mess here today. Principal Davis had the uncanny ability to be firm and gentle at the same time. Wait, how did you even see all this? Were you watching the whole time? Asked Marcus. Yes, I was actually talking to Mr. Phil when Chase first started lining up his shot. Principal Davis looked down at the boys with what they hoped was a genuine smile. Well, why didn't you stop me? Asked Chase, putting the mop into the bucket. He couldn't believe the principal actually let him go for that basket, knowing it could have resulted in a mess. He and Marcus were usually more careful about who was around when they performed one of their famous stunts. I always like to give students the opportunity to do the right thing on their own. I also like for you to learn to encourage each other to do the right thing all on your own. With these words, Mr. Davis was looking directly at Terrence and giving an appreciative smile. Since you couldn't be persuaded with logic ahead of time, I figure a few minutes spent mopping up the messes of your classmates would help you get a feel for what it's like for Mr. Phil and how frustrating it can be to watch people make an unnecessary mess when you will likely be the one who has to clean it up. Chase and Marcus both looked at Mr. Phil, already busily wiping down tables. Mr. Phil hummed to himself as he cleaned away the remnants of sticky drinks that had been spilled and crumbs from sandwiches. He had been the janitor at the Global Academy since it opened 3 years ago. The Global Academy was the first STEAM-focused middle school in the city, and they had managed to hire what all the kids thought were the best adults in the world. It was a special school that drew kids from all over the city. They accumulated their faculty and staff from all over the city as well, with many of them being people who had already retired, but who decided to come back to their careers to ensure the Global Academy got off to a great start. Mr. Phil was no exception. While he was quiet, he only showed signs of the slightest of temper when students made big messes without trying to clean them up. Unfortunately, Chase and Marcus had been on Mr. Phil's radar twice so far this school year. They winced as he got slightly closer to the trash can with spilled milk. Chase spoke first. "Mr. Davis, can we have a bit more time so that we can clean off the rest of the tables as well as mopping the floor? We can stay late to finish up any work that we miss in class." "Yeah, maybe we can give Mr. Phil a break for today and we can all start tomorrow as if this never happened," added Marcus. Both boys felt a rush of guilt at the unintended consequences of their stunt. It seemed innocent at first, and they really didn't intend to put more work on Mr. Phil's plate. They hoped that this gesture would help him to see that they really didn't have ill intentions. The two boys stayed silent as most of the other kids filed out of the cafeteria and headed back to their classes. They tried to smile and look calm, knowing everyone was wondering just what Principal Davis had in store for them. "I think that's a great idea," said Principal Davis, his eyes bright. "Why don't you two go tell him the good news? You head off to class so you won't be late, Terrence." "Yes, sir," answered Terrence, gathering his backpack. He ran to catch up with the final group of kids that were lingering at the door, trying to wait as long as possible to figure out what could be the final outcome for Marcus and Chase. They knew the two cousins were pretty good with getting out of trouble, but this time just might be different since Principal Davis had seen the whole thing. Marcus and Chase cautiously approached Mr. Phil, who was working quietly and quickly. Mr. Phil was a large man. Not overweight, but his broad shoulders and overall build had the kids speculating that he must have been a linebacker when he was younger. Come to find out, they were correct about him being a former athlete, just the wrong sport. Mr. Phil had spent over a decade playing professional hockey for the NHL. He was one of the biggest and most feared players of the game. Despite his reputation on the ice, he was never one to start fights and had never been labeled a goon. He was a fan favorite, but wanted a quiet life once he retired from hockey. Even though he hadn't played professional hockey for 30 years, his frame still held a lot of muscle. He didn't speak much and never complained about the mess students made, but they still couldn't help but feel a little intimidated by his sheer presence. Whenever he was near, they seemed to drop less things on the floor and be a bit neater with what they were doing. "Mr. Phil," Marcus and Chase spoke almost in unison, "we're really sorry. I shouldn't have thrown that milk. I knew it could have spilled if I missed. I do want to say that I really did think I would make the shot though," said Chase, who was apologizing, but also trying to plead his case just a bit. "Well, I was pretty sure he wouldn't make the shot, especially when I encouraged him to back up even further from the garbage can. So I knew what was going to happen." Marcus looked at Chase and tried not to laugh. "The point is," interrupted Chase, "we know we were wrong and we're sorry. We want to make it up to you by not just mopping the floor, but also cleaning off the tables and chairs." Mr. Phil didn't have much of an expression as he looked at Marcus and Chase, although a slight smile did enter his face. "I really appreciate the offer. How about this? All three of us can do the cleaning. It will make the work go faster, and I'll have a bit of company. Look, I'm not mad at you boys. You two are good kids. You just have to think a bit more before you act. It's okay to challenge each other and even show off a bit. Just think to make sure it's the right time and place for it. Thanks, said both boys at the same time. Where do we start? Asked Marcus. Go grab some towels from the back, and we'll finish wiping the tables down first, and then we'll sweep and mop the floor, answered Mr. Phil. My mom is not going to believe I actually volunteered to do extra cleaning, said Marcus. Well, don't run home bragging about it, because then she'll ask you why you were doing any cleaning in the cafeteria in the first place. I'll just tell her because you were a bad shot. Marcus laughed and pretended to duck. Hey, the sun was in my eyes, and there was a northerly wind that I didn't anticipate. Chase was trying to look serious, but a smile was breaking through. Dude, we're in a building. With that, both boys laughed and grabbed cleaning rags. Chase hadn't anticipated having to clean the cafeteria that day, but it didn't seem like it would be too bad after all. Chapter 2. Terrence stopped quickly by his locker, then headed to Mrs. Worthington's class. As he rounded the corner, he saw Principal Davis leaving her door. Have a good class, Principal Davis smiled as he passed Terrence. True to his word, the principal must have stopped by to tell Mrs. Worthington Marcus and Chase would be late. Terrence wondered how Principal Davis had gotten to her class so quickly. He pondered if Marcus and Chase were correct when they mused there must be hidden passages around the school, since Principal Davis seemed to be everywhere at the same time. Just like the rest of the school, Mrs. Worthington's classroom was uniquely decorated. The walls reflected the nature of the subjects taught in the classroom: social studies, geography, and history. There was a border along the wall close to the ceiling with pictures depicting important historical events, everything from the lunar landing to desegregation of public schools in the South. There were framed historical documents on the wall, including the Declaration of Independence and the Emancipation Proclamation. There were globes and maps of all shapes and sizes, like the orthograph map that could magically fold into a three-dimensional globe. There were flags from around the world and photos of people, especially kids, from all different cultures and communities. The word hello greeted students in 17 different languages as soon as they walked through the door. In fact, Mrs. Worthington had once said she wanted anyone from anywhere in the world to walk through her classroom door and feel right at home. It wasn't just the walls and decorations that made her classroom interesting, it was also the way the furniture was arranged. The classroom contained no individual desks. There were 3 round tables for collaborative work. Bean bags were on the floor so small groups could have discussions comfortably. A wooden buddy bench next to the bookshelf flanked a quiet reading corner. And everything about the room made the students feel like learning and sharing. Mrs. Worthington was the favorite teacher of every student who ever had her, even though she gave some of the toughest assignments in school. Walking into class, Terrence realized today would be no different. Mrs. Worthington was standing at the board, writing up the details of what was sure to be an interesting but intensive project. I returned your papers along with feedback for your presentations on the contributions of Asians to the American experience. A special thank you to Swang and his family for sharing authentic Korean food, and Mayuri for sharing authentic Thai food. Thank you to Group 2, which included Ryan, Abigail, and Tyrone, for teaching us greetings and to count to 10 in Mandarin, Tagalong, and Hindi. You all did such a wonderful job. Really, the entire class did amazingly well. Don't forget to write out for each group what you enjoyed the most from the presentation, something new that you learned, and also an opportunity in which they can improve for the next presentation that they give. Your constructive criticism is really doing wonders. Thank you so much for helping each other to become more confident presenters. Mrs. Worthington was finishing up her recap when Marcus and Chase entered the classroom. Sorry we're late, said Chase, who paused when he saw Mrs. Worthington had been writing on the board. You haven't missed anything new, Chase, answered Mrs. Worthington. Chase wondered if she could sense he was nervous, and that is why she gave such a warm welcome. Principal Davis let me know you two were helping out in the cafeteria and would be a little late. I was waiting for you both before getting started with our new assignment. Go ahead and join your group. Marcus and Chase met Terrence, who was standing in the reading area, looking over their paper and presentation grade. How did we do? Asked Marcus, with only a slight hesitation in his voice. We did great. Terrence was excited as he gave the other two boys a high five. Areas for improvement were editing our papers a bit more thoroughly and making sure to always include the year of publication when citing sources. Mrs. Worthington even put in a note for how to cite a source when we don't know the year was published. Citing sources in middle school, sometimes I wonder if college will be easier, not harder than what we do here, said Chase. Well, if we are rocking like this, college is going to be a breeze. Terrence was fanning the air with the paper, and all three boys were now snickering. Mrs. Worthington was now standing in front of the board and getting everyone's attention. Okay, class, we're going to continue with our assignment of how the various subgroups of people in the United States have helped to shape the country we have today. Our next group we are going to be studying is Black Americans. You can be broad in your search, examining the impact Black Americans have had in areas of politics, culture, entertainment, sports, medicine, or the impact on our everyday lives. Rebecca, a girl with green eyes and ginger hair, who loved all things history, was raising her hand to ask a question. Yes, Rebecca? Asked Mrs. Worthington. You used the term Black American. I thought the term was African American. Is there a specific word we're supposed to use? Rebecca asked. That's a great question, Rebecca. One that your group might want to study. I will tell you, that answer can change depending on what groups within the subculture you are referring to, and also people can choose the name by which they would like to be referred. I tend to use the term Black American mainly because this is the self-identification that I grew up with in my household. However, you will get no points taken off by using the term African American or any other respectful term that you find. The naming of communities of people might be something quite interesting to explore. As Mrs. Worthington finished speaking, everyone could see Rebecca was feverishly taking notes. Her love of history was bubbling over now as she found even more nooks and crannies to explore. Mrs. Worthington continued with the assignment instructions. We're going to make one additional change to shake things up a bit. Each group did a wonderful job with their presentation, and you all work really well together. I'm not going to break up the various trios. I think it's great to stick with a group of people that you work well with. But that doesn't mean we can't stretch ourselves a little. So you won't be working with just your trio. We're going to combine with one other trio. So instead of working in groups of 3, you're going to be working in groups of 6. Go ahead and start in your trio, and then find another trio to partner with. You will be working as one group and will earn 1 grade. Yes, it will be more challenging writing a paper with six people instead of 3 and doing a presentation with 6 people instead of 3. However, you will notice that as you add people, you add diversity of ideas and opinions, and you should see a stronger final product in the end. Akaya, Shar, and Ebony had been in the reading area looking over their grade when Mrs. Worthington mentioned joining with another trio. Shar began first. We've done so well on every assignment. The biggest thing Mrs. Worthington asked us to work on was expanding ourselves a bit with our presentation. Our paper was well written with good research, but she thought we could go outside the box a bit when we presented our findings. I wonder what would be the best trio for us to join with. It would definitely make sense to work with a group that can help us be a bit more creative in the presentation department. Ebony spoke as she looked around the room. Well, said Akaya almost hesitantly, there is one group that has creativity pretty much on lockdown. No way, Shar yelled a little more loudly than she anticipated. Yes way, responded Ebony. We're supposed to be growing, and they would definitely help us grow. This is going to be a bad idea, Shar kept repeating, even after they made their way over to Marcus, Chase, and Terrence. In fact, it was less of a going over to the boys than a meeting in the middle. I guess we both had the same idea, said Terrence, giving Akaya a quick smile, followed by extending his closed hand for a fist bump. Wait, interrupted Ebony, before the pumping of the fist could commence. We have to make sure we have some ground rules in place before making any sort of pact. Fine, answered Chase, smiling. I think the first thing we should do is exchange the feedback we got on our last projects. I mean, we're hard workers, and I don't want to join a team of slackers. Shar had now stopped chanting, no way, and jolted up with a look of indignation. Slackers? We never slack. Well, neither do we, answered Marcus. So we just might make a good team. Let's see your feedback. He handed Shar their return paper. Well, I have to admit, you boys did do a great job, answered Ebony, as three girls looked over the boys' papers. Just some small editing errors, but overall it was good. Well, that was probably a bit of all of our faults. I tried to encourage Marcus and Chase to use my speech to text software, and they had so much fun playing with it, we sort of forgot to actually use it to help edit. So I guess we can sort of blame my dyslexia for that in a roundabout way, said Terrence, blushing a bit. I keep forgetting you're dyslexic too, said Akaya. She was so used to working with Ebony, who was also dyslexic. It was second nature. She immediately felt bad about bringing up the spelling errors. No problem, I don't mind. Dyslexia isn't a bad thing, but it does sometimes cause me to not see a spelling mistake here or there. I also use audiobooks instead of regular textbooks. I still do the same work, just in a different way. But that probably means I'm not the best person to do the final edit of the paper. Terrence was smiling now. Yeah, we sort of forgot about that part, Marcus smiled. You three did a great job with your paper. Nice research. Shar responded more gently this time. Yes, the research was good, but it was a little boring. Hopefully we can have a little more fun with it this time. Well, you came to the right place, answered Marcus and Chase simultaneously. And those are the first 2 chapters of the Steam Chasers. We made that. I love that. It's so funny. Let me know your comments. What did you guys like about those 2 chapters? Some of your thoughts and your takeaways. It's funny because when I read books like this, I can always see myself in one of the characters. And I think in school, I probably was Chase. But I love even the lessons in each chapter. Like the first chapter, being more mindful of your actions, because your actions not only impact you, but they impact other people as well. So let's be more intentional and think of the consequences before we do things. And in chapter 2, working with the group. 2 heads are always better than 1, right? When we work in a group, we get different opinions and different backgrounds and different ideas. And that's where growth happens and where amazing things happen. So just embracing variety and differences is so important. I really, really love that. And I'm so excited. So you guys, every Tuesday, we will be reading the Steam Chasers. We made that until we finish it. So we'll probably do like 2 or 3 chapters, just like we did today. Like I said, let me know your thoughts and your takeaways. Again, I want to remind you, if you just jumped on and you missed a little bit of the beginning, don't worry. You can head over to our Instagram and our Facebook, because we will always put the recordings and the replays there for you to watch. And you can go ahead and comment there to show participation, so you could be entered into our end of summer giveaway. So again, by participation, if you are in the Charlotte area, you have a chance to win basketball sessions for free. And if you're not in the Charlotte area, that's okay. You have a chance to win. You have the chance to be in the end of summer drawing, where 2 teachers and 2 students will win $100 gift cards each for school supplies. If you do know a Charlotte-based teacher that you want to nominate for that, let us know. Send us a DM with their name and we'll put them in there. And remember, every week that you participate, your name gets entered 5 times. What else? Weekly giveaways we are doing as well. So every week we'll pick someone and they get to win a free copy, a free Kindle version of the book that we're reading. I just want to thank Dr. Dorisa Jennings again for letting us read this book. I'm so excited to finish it. I hope you guys have enjoyed that. Evilise, don't worry about it. You can go ahead and catch the replay. Also, I want to let you guys know about our podcast that we have called Work, Train, Win. It's a motivational podcast. We have some inspirational adults, and they give us advice on sports, school, and career goals. So people, you'll hear from like high school and college coaches, doctors, athletes, nutritionists. So it's really great for student athletes. So if you want to check that out, it's called Work, Train, Win, and you can find it on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Stitcher. But other than that, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I'm so excited to keep this going. Again, every Tuesday we'll be reading the Steam Chasers. And then tomorrow I'll be back here at 7 p.m. with another book. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 7 p.m. for the rest of, all until the end of the summer. I hope you guys have an amazing evening, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.